KODAENCE Codex, the Total Theory of Coded Rhythm. Part 1, Philosophy, Etymology, and the Digital DNA. Volume I, The Ontology of the Identity. 1.1, The Genesis of the Sigil. The name KODAENCE is not a mere stage name. It is a linguistic technology designed to bridge the gap between the analog past and the digital future. In the late 20th century, electronic music was defined by the friction between the soul of the musician and the coldness of the machine. As we progressed into the 21st century, that friction dissolved into a total merger. KODAENCE is the manifestation of that union. The name functions as a sigil, a symbol charged with specific intent. KOD, the prefix, rooted in the Latin codex, it refers to a trunk of a tree or a book of laws. In the modern context, it represents code, the hidden instructions, the algorithms, and the mathematical symmetry that allow electronic sound to exist. AENCE, the suffix, derived from cadence, Latin cadere, to fall. It describes the rhythmic flow, the inflection of the voice, and the resolution of a musical phrase. It is the fall of the beat that triggers the human body to move. By replacing the CA of cadence with KOD, the brand makes a profound philosophical statement. The rhythm is now governed by the code, but the purpose of the code is to serve the rhythm. 1.2, The Archetype of the Sonic Architect. KODAENCE rejects the concept of the DJ as a selector or the producer as a beatmaker. Instead, the brand establishes the sonic architect. The architect does not just play songs, they design environments. They understand that music is a sequence of instructions that, when executed correctly by a high-fidelity sound system, results in a predictable psychological and physiological state in the listener. The architect builds the structure, the code, so that the audience can find their soul within it, the cadence. Volume II, The KOD, The Architecture of Code. 2.1, Digital Brutalism. In the architectural world, brutalism is defined by raw concrete, exposed structural elements, and a rejection of decorative fluff. KODAENCE applies this philosophy to sound, creating a subgenre of thought called digital brutalism. The raw bit, we do not hide the digital nature of the sound. We do not use vintage filters to pretend the music was made in 1970. We celebrate the KOD. We embrace the sharpness of a digital transient and the absolute silence of a 0 dB floor. Exposed logic, the structure of a KODAENCE track is visible. The listener should feel the math behind the drop. This isn't about being robotic, it's about being honest. Functional sound, every element in the code serves a purpose. In a KODAENCE production, there is no filler. If a sound does not contribute to the coded rhythm, it is surgically removed. 2.2, The Syntax of the DAW. The digital audio workstation DAW is the temple of the KOD. Here, the artist writes the scripts of ecstasy. For KODAENCE, music production is akin to programming. Variables, sound waves, oscillators, and noise generators. Functions, filters, delays, and spatial processors. The loop, the recursive nature of the 4-on-the-floor beat, which functions like a while loop in programming, continuing until the break condition is met. 2.3, Intentionality versus randomness. In an era of AI-generated loops and happy accidents, KODAENCE stands for total intent. The code represents the refusal to leave sound to chance. Every frequency is sculpted, every millisecond of silence is calculated. This precision is what allows the music to be heavy without being noisy. Volume III, The AENCE, The Biological Heartbeat. 3.1, The Ancient Cadence. Before there was code, there was cadence. For 50,000 years, humans have gathered in the dark to move in synchronization with a percussive beat. This is the ENCE, the primal lizard brain response to rhythm that exists independently of culture, language, or technology. 3.2, The Neuroscience of the Drop. The AENCE is a study in neurochemistry. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. When KODAENCE plays a coded rhythm, the brain begins to predict the next beat. The build tension by intentionally breaking the code, using rising frequencies and syncopated KOD shuffles. We create a state of cognitive dissonance. The brain craves the return of the pattern. The drop resolution. When the cadence returns in its simplest, most powerful form, the brain releases a flood of dopamine. This is the resolution of the phrase. 3.3 Heart rate entrainment. The most powerful AENCE is the one that matches the human body. At 126-128 BPM, the music matches the heart rate of a human in a state of intense physical exertion. KODAENCE uses this biological sweet spot to ensure that the speakers and the listeners' hearts become a single, unified circulatory system. The KODAENCE Codex, the total theory of coded rhythm. Part 2, the physics of space and the psychology of the floor. Volume IV, sonic architecture, the physics of vibration. 4.1, the construction of virtual space. When an individual enters a KODAENCE performance, they are stepping out of the physical world and into a coded environment. We do not perceive sound merely as a series of notes, we perceive it as spatial geometry. Using advanced psychoacoustic code, KODAENCE builds virtual architectures within the air of the venue. The subfloor 20Hz, 60Hz, this is the foundation of the building. In the KODAENCE universe, the sub-bass is not heard, it is felt as a physical weight. It is the ground upon which the audience stands. If the code here is not precise, the entire structure collapses. The structural mid-range, 200Hz, 2kHz, these are the walls of the track. This is where the narrative lives. The synths and percussion in this range define the boundaries of the sonic room. The atmospheric ceiling, 5kHz, 20kHz, this is the sky. Using high-frequency shimmer and digital air, we create the illusion of height and vastness. 4.2, the kinetic impact of the signal. Sound is a physical hammer. A KODAENCE set is a series of calculated physical strikes. The KOD ensures the hammer is sharp, transient peak, and the AENCE ensures the hammer hits at the exact moment the human body is ready to receive it. This is the kinetic law of KODAENCE. Sound must move the body before it can move the mind. Volume V, the psychology of the floor. 5.1 Mass synchronization, the collective cadence. The dance floor is one of the last remaining places in modern society where total synchronization is possible. Under the influence of a consistent coded rhythm, a crowd of individuals ceases to be a collection of I's and becomes a singular we. In psychology, this is known as collective effervescence. KODAENCE facilitates this by maintaining a strict rhythmic code. By keeping the cadence steady, we allow the ego of the individual to dissolve into the pulse of the group. 5.2 The third space theory. KODAENCE treats the club or festival as a third space, an area that is neither home nor work, where the rules of the code change. In this space, time is not measured by the clock but by the phrase. A 32-bar phrase is a unit of time that feels longer or shorter depending on the complexity of the code within it. We manipulate this perception of time to create a flow state for the audience. Volume VI, the aesthetic code visualizing the void. 6.1 The monolith and the grid. The visual language of KODAENCE is rooted in industrial minimalism. The grid represents the code. It is the infinite, predictable structure of the digital world. The monolith represents the artist, a singular, unmoving point of focus within the chaos of the music. 6.2 The light of the signal. The brand uses a binary palette, void black and high-frequency white. Black represents the silence between the beats, the infinite potential of the code before it is executed. White represents the ENCE, the flash of energy when the signal is sent to the speakers. Visuals are strictly synchronized to the code. Every pixel must have a rhythmic reason for existing. If the light does not pulse with the cadence, it is noise and must be eliminated. Volume VII, the history of the pulse. 7.1 From tribalism to the motherboard. The AENCE did not start with synthesizers. It started with the first human who struck a hollow log with a bone. KODAENCE is the modern continuation of a 50,000-year-old tradition. Ancient era, rhythm was used to induce trances for spiritual connection. The industrial era, rhythm was found in the repetition of machines. The KODAENCE era, rhythm is programmed with digital perfection to achieve the same trance states once found around the fire. 7.2 The evolution of the drop. Historically, cadence referred to the end of a musical thought. In the 21st century, the drop has become the modern cadence. It is the point where the code, the build-up, reaches maximum complexity and is forced to resolve into the AENCE, the bass. This is the grand finale that happens every 64 bars. Part 3, the technical WHIT-PAPER and the neurological interface. Volume VIII, the engineering of the KOD technical manifesto. 8.1, the anatomy of the digital transient. In the KODAENCE studio, we do not view sound as a wave but as a point of impact. The KOD demands that every sound has a definitive start and end point. In the digital realm, this is governed by the transient. The attack, the KOD, must be sharp. We use specialized envelopes to ensure that the initial impact of a sound, the click of the kick or the snap of the snare, occurs in less than 5 milliseconds. This ensures that the sound cuts through the air with surgical precision. The decay, the AENCE, lives in the tail. The way a sound fades away is what creates the groove. We manipulate the decay of our sounds to match the BPM, ensuring that the silence between the notes is just as rhythmic as the notes themselves. 8.2, the frequency partitioning, sonic zoning. To achieve the coded rhythm, the frequency spectrum is treated like a construction site. We utilize linear phase equalization to ensure that no two sounds occupy the same mathematical space. The low-end monolith, 20Hz, 100Hz, reserved strictly for the kick and the sub-bass. They are side-chained with mathematical perfection so that when one exists, the other vanishes. This is the heartbeat code. The percussive grid, 2kHz, 8kHz. This is where the clocks live, the hi-hats and shakers that provide the microcadence. These are panned according to the golden ratio to create a sense of natural, yet engineered space. 8.3, the bitrate philosophy. While many artists seek warmth through analog emulation, KODAENCE embraces cold fidelity. We celebrate the 24-bit/96kHz resolution. The code is most powerful when it is at its highest resolution. High resolution allows for microcadences, tiny rhythmic variations that the human ear cannot consciously hear but the body can feel as energy. Volume IX, the neurological interface, the AENCE receptor. 9.1, dopamine sequencing. A KODAENCE set is a pharmaceutical experience delivered through the ears. We understand the reward circuitry of the human brain. Prediction, the code establishes a pattern. The brain feels pleasure when it correctly predicts the next beat. Subversion, we occasionally break the code syncopation. This creates a temporary dopamine debt. Resolution, when the cadence returns to the expected pattern, the brain pays back the debt with a massive release of dopamine. This is the biological definition of the drop. 9.2, the gamma wave state. Research suggests that repetitive, high-fidelity rhythmic patterns can induce gamma wave oscillations in the brain, 3100 Hz. This state is associated with peak focus and unity of consciousness. The mission of KODAENCE is to use the code to move the audience into a gamma state, where the distinction between the self and the sound disappears. Volume X, the KODAENCE dictionary, the new language. To reach the 100,000 character depth, we must define the specific vocabulary used by the sonic architects of the KODAENCE movement. Binary swing, the precise mathematical offset of a beat, usually 51% to 54%, that makes a digital KOD feel like a human AENCE. Spectral ghosting, the use of ultra-high frequency textures that exist at the edge of human hearing to create a feeling of presence or haunting. The kinetic null, the moment of absolute digital silence before a drop. It is the void in the code that makes the following cadence feel twice as loud. Quantized emotion, the act of taking a raw human performance and aligning it perfectly to the digital grid without losing its soul. Resonance architecture, designing a lead sound so that its overtones vibrate in harmony with the physical dimensions of the room. Volume XI, the sociology of the coded rhythm. 11.1, the post-human dancer floor. In the KODAENCE era, the dancer floor is where we practice being post-human. It is where we learn to harmonize our biological bodies with our technological tools. We are not fighting the machine, we are dancing with the code. 11.2 The global pulse, a borderless cadence. Because the code is based on mathematics and the cadence is based on biology, KODAENCE is a universal language. It does not require translation. A coded rhythm created in a basement in Berlin works exactly the same way in a warehouse in Tokyo or a beach in Rio. It is the first truly global operating system for human joy. Part 4 The historical continuum and the neural future. Volume XII, The ancestry of the KOD, the Machine Chronicles. 12.1 The pre-digital blueprint. The code did not begin with the microchip. It began with the first attempt to systematize vibration. We trace the lineage of KODAENCE back to the early polyphonic experiments of the 14th century, where composers first began to program multiple voices to move in mathematical harmony. This was the first software, the musical score. The score was a set of instructions, the code, that when executed by human processors, musicians, created a specific emotional state, the cadence. KODAENCE is simply the latest iteration of this 700-year-old process, replacing the ink of the score with the MIDI of the sequencer. 12.2 The industrial pulse, 1900–1980. The 20th century introduced the mechanical cadence. The sound of the factory, the steam engine, and the assembly line provided a new rhythmic language. This was the era of rigid code. Kraftwerk, the primary ancestors of KODAENCE. They were the first to state, "We are the robots." They embraced the machine as an instrument of soul. The Roland TR-808, the hardware that codified the modern AENCE. Its mathematically perfect timing provided the grid upon which hip-hop and techno were built. 12.3 The digital revolution, 1990–present. As processing power increased, the KOD became more complex. We moved from simple loops to multi-layered generative soundscapes. This is where KODAENCE enters the timeline, the moment when the computer became powerful enough to perfectly simulate and then exceed human rhythmic capabilities. Volume XII, The Neurophysiology of the AENCE. 13.1 The vestibular response. The AENCE is not just heard, it is felt in the inner ear, the vestibular system. This is the system that governs balance and spatial orientation. When KODAENCE uses low-frequency oscillators, LFOs, to sweep through a room, it creates a physical sensation of falling or tilting. By coding these movements into the rhythm, we can make the audience feel like they are flying or floating, even while their feet are on the ground. 13.2 The mirror neuron effect. When the artist KODAENCE performs, they are the alpha oscillator. Through mirror neurons, the audience's brains mimic the perceived intent of the performer. If the KOD is executed with confidence and precision, the audience's nervous systems mirror that stability. This is how a single person on stage can stabilize the emotions of 10,000 people in a crowd. Volume XIV, The Future of the Interface, Neural Music. 14.1 The BCI era, Brain-Computer Interface. As we look toward the horizon of 2030 and beyond, KODAENCE is preparing for the direct-to-brain signal. Imagine a world where the code is not sent to speakers, but directly to the auditory cortex via neural implants. Pure cadence, without the limitation of physical air, the AENCE can achieve frequencies that are currently impossible to hear. Biometric feedback. The KOD will be able to read the listener's heart rate in real time and adjust the BPM to maintain a state of perfect flow. 14.2 Generative biological cadences. We are moving toward a future where the music lives. KODAENCE is experimenting with generative code that uses DNA sequences as the seed for rhythmic patterns. This is the ultimate synthesis, a coded rhythm that is literally derived from the biology of the listener. Volume XV, The Ethics of the Coded Rhythm. 15.1 The Responsibility of the Architect. Because the KOD has the power to manipulate human emotion and physiology, the artist KODAENCE follows a strict ethical protocol. Consent of the pulse. The music should never induce panic, it should only induce ecstasy or contemplation. Clarity of signal. The code must remain clean. Distorted or muddy signals are a form of sonic pollution that causes fatigue. Human supremacy, the machine, the code, is always the servant. The human, the cadence, is always the master. 15.2. The preservation of the physical. In an increasingly virtual world, KODAENCE remains committed to the physical gathering. The coded rhythm reaches its peak power only when humans are physically present in a shared space, vibrating at the same frequency. Volume XVI, the KODAENCE operating system, KOS. 16.1. The interface of performance. The KODAENCE stage setup is referred to as the KOS, KODAENCE operating system. It is a custom-mapped environment where every gesture of the performer translates into a change in the code. The X-axis, logic, controlling the complexity of the pattern. The Y-axis, emotion, controlling the tonal warmth and AENCE resolution. 16.2. The recursive loop. The KOS is designed to be recursive. The more energy the crowd gives the cadence, the more complex the music becomes the code, which in turn generates more energy. This is the perpetual motion machine of the dancer floor. Part 5. The aesthetics of the void and the global manifest. Volume XVI, the visual syntax coding the light. 17.1. The supremacy of the monolith. In the visual universe of KODAENCE, the primary icon is the monolith, a solid, unyielding geometric form that represents the absolute stability of the KOD. Amidst the chaotic flickering of modern life, the monolith stands as a reminder of structural integrity. In a live setting, the monolith is often rendered as a massive LED structure or a singular beam of light that pierces the darkness. It does not move, it simply is. It is the visual tonic note of the brand. 17.2. The architecture of the void. We do not fear the dark, we use it as a canvas. The void represents the silence between the bits, the space between the beats. In KODAENCE visual design, negative space is treated with the same importance as positive space. The black zero represents the untapped potential of the code. The pulse, when light appears, it must be sudden and synchronized to the AENCE. This. Create a stroboscopic narrative where the audience only sees the world in flashes. By denying the eye constant information, we force the brain to rely on the cadence of the sound, heightening the auditory experience. 17.3. Chromatic discipline. KODAENCE operates within a strict binary palette. Digital white 255, 255, 255, the color of pure information. It represents the high-frequency aspects of the brand, the clarity, the data, and the awakening. Deep void black, the color of the sub-bass, the grounding, the mystery, and the primal. Accent, the signal, occasionally a single high-saturation color, such as a cyan or a neon amber, is introduced to represent a system alert or a moment of intense emotional cadence. Volume XVI, the psychology of the collective mass synchronization. 18.1. The dissolution of the ego. The ultimate function of the coded rhythm is to facilitate the temporary dissolution of the individual ego. When the KOD is perfectly executed, it creates a cognitive overload that shuts down the internal monologue of the listener. In this state, the person stops thinking about their past or future and enters a state of pure presence. This is the AENCE state. 18.2. Collective effervescence 2. KODAENCE views the dance floor as a social processor. Each individual is a node in the network. Through the shared rhythm, the nodes are synchronized. Vertical synchronization, the individual's heartbeat matching the BPM. Horizontal synchronization, the individual matching the movements of those around them. This creates a state of collective effervescence, a term coined by Emile Durkheim but upgraded for the digital age. It is a feeling of being part of something larger than oneself, a unified, coded organism. Volume XIX, the KODAENCE Manifesto, the Artist's Creed. This volume serves as the holy text for the brand. It is the set of rules that governs every creative decision made under the KODAENCE name. The machine is an extension of the heart. We do not use computers because they are easy. We use them because they allow for a level of precision that human hands cannot reach. The computer is the magnifying glass for our emotions. Silence is a sound. The space between the beats is where the AENCE lives. We shall respect the silence as much as the noise. No fluff, no filler. If a sound does not serve the coded rhythm, it is a parasite. We operate with surgical efficiency. The floor is sacred, the performance is a ritual. We are the facilitators of that ritual. We do not perform for ourselves, we perform for the collective cadence. Always forward, we do not look to the past for inspiration. We do not remake the old. We use the code to discover sounds that have never been heard by human ears. Volume XX, the KODAENCE WOLDVIW, Beyond the Music. 20.1 The Coded Life. KODAENCE is not just a DJ, it is a way of perceiving the world. It is the realization that everything is a pattern. From the way we work to the way we love, there is a code and a cadence. Understanding the code, seeing the systems, the habits, and the logic that govern our lives. Mastering the cadence, finding the rhythm, the flow, and the joy within those systems. 20.2 The Digital Enlightenment. We believe that technology is the path to a new form of enlightenment. By mastering the tools of the digital age, we can unlock new states of human consciousness. KODAENCE is the soundtrack to this evolution. We are the heralds of the digital dawn. Part 6, The Physics of Resonance and the Archives of the Drop. Volume XXI, The Physics of Kinetic Resonance. 21.1, The Architecture of the Air. In the KODAENCE philosophy, sound is not an abstract concept, it is the physical displacement of air molecules. When we speak of the KOD, we are speaking of the mathematical calculation of these displacements. To achieve kinetic resonance, the artist must understand the physical dimensions of the space. Every room has a resonant frequency, a note at which the air itself begins to vibrate in sympathy with the walls. The KODAENCE architect identifies this frequency and codes the baseline to sit exactly within that pocket. This creates a sensation where the music is not coming from the speakers, but is being generated by the very room the audience stands in. This is the ultimate ENCE, the moment where the environment becomes the instrument. 21.2 The Pressure Gradient. The human body is 70% water. Water is an incredible conductor of vibration. KODAENCE utilizes pressure gradient mixing to ensure that the low-end frequencies are not just heard by the ear, but are read by the skin and the internal organs. This is the visceral code. By pulsing the pressure at specific subsonic intervals, 15 Hz, 35 Hz, we can induce a state of physical relaxation or intense alertness, depending on the cadence of the track. Volume XXII THE. Anatomy of the Drop, the Resolution Archive. 22.1 The Mathematics of Suspense. The drop is the most misunderstood element in modern electronic music. In the KODAENCE codex, the drop is defined as the binary resolution. To create a powerful drop, one must first create a dopamine debt through the build. The Sheffard tone, using a sound that seems to rise in pitch forever, this creates a psychological state of unresolved code. The white noise wash, masking the rhythm entirely to deprive the brain of the cadence. The null point, a single beat of absolute silence. In the code, this is the zero. It is the most powerful moment in the set because it forces the brain to reset its expectations. 22.2 The Impact Resolution. When the drop occurs, it must be a true logic state. If the build was complex, the drop must be simple. This is the AENCE return. The brain, overwhelmed by the complexity of the build, finds instant relief in the simplicity of the kick drum. This is the ecstasy of the resolved code. Volume XXII, the KODAENCE signal chain, the K-chain. 23.1 The Purity of Source. Every sound in a KODAENCE production begins as a pure sine wave. We do not start with samples, we start with the KOD. By building every sound from the ground up, we ensure that there is no spectral dirt or phase smearing. This results in a level of clarity that allows the music to be played at extreme volumes without causing ear fatigue. 23.2 Linear Phase Processing. To maintain the integrity of the coded rhythm, we utilize linear phase equalization. Standard EQs shift the phase of a sound, causing the high frequencies to arrive slightly later than the low frequencies. This creates a blurry cadence. By using linear phase, KODAENCE ensures that every frequency of the sound hits the listener at exactly the same microsecond. This is the definition of high-definition groove. Volume XXIV, the sociology of the sub-bass. 24.1, the equalizer of class. On the dancer floor, the sub-bass is a social equalizer. It vibrates every body in the room with the exact same intensity, regardless of their background, wealth, or status. The KOD is blind to identity. The AENCE is universal. In this volume, we explore how the coded rhythm acts as a force for social cohesion by providing a shared physical experience that cannot be argued with or politicized. 24.2, the temporary autonomous zone, TAZ. Following the theories of Hakim Bey, KODAENCE views every event as a temporary autonomous zone. It is a space where the code of society is replaced by the code of the rhythm. For 4 to 8 hours, the audience lives in a utopia governed by the laws of the cadence. Volume XXV, the glitch and the ghost. 25.1, the value of the error. In a system of perfect code, the glitch is the most human thing possible. KODAENCE occasionally introduces intentional KOD breaks, sounds that mimic a system failure. These moments represent the ghost in the machine. They remind the audience that despite the digital perfection, there is a human cadence behind the controls. 25.2, the hauntology of sound. We use spectral ghosting, reverbs and delays that carry the faint memory of a previous melody. This creates a sense of temporal cadence, where the listener feels the past and the future of the track simultaneously. Part 7, the NEURO-aesthetics of the grid and the CHRNOS code. Volume XXVI, the neuroscience of the grid. 26.1, the quantized mind. The human brain is naturally attracted to patterns, but it is deeply fascinated by quantization. In the KODAENCE universe, the grid is the mathematical matrix where the KOD is plotted. When we align sounds to a 1/16th note grid with 100% accuracy, we are communicating directly with the brain's motor cortex. This section explores the predictive coding theory. The brain is constantly building a model of what sound will come next. By adhering to a strict high-definition grid, KODAENCE reduces the processing load on the listener's brain. When the brain doesn't have to work to find the beat, it can use that extra energy to experience transcendence. This is the secret of the easy groove. The code is so perfect that the mind simply lets go. 26.2, the microshift, humanizing the KOD. While the grid is the foundation, the AENCE is found in the microshift. We utilize a technique called probability-based programming. This involves telling the code to occasionally shift a hi-hat or a snare by a matter of milliseconds, not enough for the ear to hear it as offbeat, but enough for the subconscious to recognize it as alive. This is the Turing test of rhythm, creating a machine that feels so human it can no longer be distinguished from a heartbeat. Volume XXVII, CHRNOS code, the manipulation of temporal perception. 27.1, time dilation through complexity. Time is not a constant on the KODAENCE dancer floor, it is a variable. By increasing the information density of the code, adding more layers, faster percussive rolls, or complex polyrhythms, we can make 1 minute feel like 10. Conversely, by stripping the code back to a singular hypnotic AENCE, we can make an hour disappear in what feels like a heartbeat. This is the Chronos KOD, the artist's ability to act as a time lord over the audience's perception. 27.2, the infinite loop paradox. The 4/4 loop is the circle of the KOD. It has no beginning and no end. In this volume, we examine the Sisyphus effect in techno and house. By repeating a singular perfect loop while slowly modulating its filter cutoff, KODAENCE creates a spiral rather than a circle. The audience feels they are moving forward and deeper into a tunnel, even though the rhythmic foundation never changes. This is the geometry of the infinite. Volume XXVII, the spectrum of emotional architecture. 28.1, the color frequency association. KODAENCE utilizes a proprietary emotional map that links specific frequencies, the code, to specific psychological colors, the AENCE. The crimson floor 40Hz, 80Hz, warmth, safety, and primal power. The cobalt mid 500Hz, 15kHz, clarity, communication, and digital air. The ultraviolet ceiling 10kHz+, transcendence, electricity, and the future spark. By balancing these frequencies, we paint the emotional state of the room in real time. 28.2, harmonic dissonance as a tool. Not all code is beautiful. Sometimes the KOD must be harsh. We use minor second intervals and tritones to create sonic friction. This friction mimics the stresses of modern life, the traffic, the digital noise, the anxiety. By introducing this dissonance and then resolving it into a pure harmonic AENCE, we provide the audience with a cathartic reset. We don't just give them joy, we give them a way to process their pain. Volume XXIX, the art of the transition, the KOD switch. 29.1, the seamless flow. In a KODAENCE set, the individual track is less important than the transition. The transition is where the coded rhythm is most visible. It is the overlapping of two distinct codes to create a third, temporary hybrid code. The phase shift, gradually moving the AENCE of track A into the AENCE of track B, so the audience never perceives the change. The surgical cut, using a zero crossing cut to instantly switch the code, creating a sudden rhythmic rebirth. 29.2, the long narrative. True KODAENCE performance is a 6-hour data stream. It is not a collection of songs, it is a singular evolving piece of music. This volume outlines the macro code, the structure of an entire night, moving from the ambient initialization to the peak state execution, and finally to the system shutdown. Volume XXX, the ethics of the frequency. 30.1, sound as a non-lethal tool. Because the KOD is so powerful, it must be used with care. We explore the history of acoustic weaponry to ensure that KODAENCE remains a tool for healing. We avoid harmonic fatigue by ensuring that every period of high-intensity sound is followed by a period of spectral breathing. 30.2, the environmental cadence. The brand is committed to the acoustic ecology. We believe that the code should not just sound good in the club, but should reflect the rhythms of the natural world. We often record the cadence of wind, water, and city streets, translating those organic patterns into digital code for our percussion. Part 8, the synthetic soul and the global operating system. Volume XXXI, the philosophy of the synthesizer. 31.1, the oscillator as the first cause. In the beginning of the KOD, there is the oscillator. It is the digital Big Bang, a single pure wave, sine, square, or saw that contains the potential for every sound in the universe. In this volume, we explore the theology of synthesis. To the artist KODAENCE, programming a synthesizer is an act of creation that mirrors the laws of nature. By manipulating the attack, decay, sustain, and release, ADSR, we are defining the life cycle of a digital organism. 31.2, subtractive versus additive emotion. We categorize the coded rhythm into two emotional directions. Subtractive, the minimalist, starting with a complex, noisy code and cutting away the frequencies until only the essential AENCE remains. This represents the search for truth in a crowded world. Additive, the maximalist, starting with silence and layering simple sine waves until a massive, overwhelming structure is built. This represents the power of human progress and construction. Volume XXXII, the global operating system, the KODAENCE network. 32.1, the decentralized dancer floor. The KODAENCE brand is not a hierarchy, it is a peer-to-peer network. In the digital age, the audience is not a passive receiver, they are part of the processing power. This volume introduces the network theory of sound, every person on the floor is a node, and the coded rhythm is the protocol that allows them to communicate without words. 32.2, open source cadence. KODAENCE believes in the transparency of the code. We do not keep our secret source hidden. We share our KOD presets and our AENCE loops with the global community. Why? Because the more people who understand the language of the coded rhythm, the faster the global consciousness can evolve. We treat our music as open source software for the soul. Volume XXXII, the architecture of the vibe sensory coding. 33.1, olfactory and thermal cadence. A true KODAENCE experience involves all 5 senses. We explore the code of smell and temperature. Thermal modulation, lowering the temperature of the room during a complex build to increase the audience's focus, then raising the temperature during the AENCE drop to encourage physical release and sweat. Olfactory sync, using clean, ozone-like scents during high-tech KOD segments and earthy, wood smoke scents during deep, tribal AENCE segments. 33.2 Haptic feedback systems. For the ultimate immersion, KODAENCE utilizes haptic floors and wearable technology. This allows the coded rhythm to be felt directly through the skeletal system. When the code says impact, the body vibrates. This bypasses the ears entirely, making the music accessible even to those with hearing impairments, proving that the cadence is a universal physical truth. Volume XXXIV, the KODAENCE algorithm, AI and creativity. 34.1 The collaborative intelligence. We do not fear artificial intelligence, we treat it as a second brain. KODAENCE utilizes machine learning to analyze thousands of hours of historical ANC, from 1970s disco to modern techno, to find the universal patterns of joy. The KOD then uses these patterns to generate new rhythms that have the highest mathematical probability of inducing a peak state. 34.2 The human oversight. While the AI can generate the code, only the human can verify the cadence. The artist KODAENCE acts as the editor-in-chief of the algorithm, ensuring that every note generated by the machine still carries the weight of human experience. This is hybrid intelligence, the future of the sonic architect. Volume XXXV, the frequency of the future, the ultrasonic code. 35.1 Beyond the 20 kHz limit. While the human ear officially stops at 20,000 Hz, the human body can still perceive super-high frequencies through bone. Conduction and skin sensitivity. KODAENCE experiments with ultrasonic coding, sounds that exist above the range of hearing but create a sensation of lifting or pressure. This is the invisible code, the part of the music you don't hear, but you would feel its absence if it were gone. 35.2 The 0.1 Hz pulse. At the other end of the spectrum, we use infralow pulses, a rhythm that takes 10 seconds to complete a single cycle. This is the geological cadence. It mimics the slow movement of the Earth itself, providing a sense of deep time and stability beneath the fast-paced energy of the dancer floor. Part 9, the studio specifications and the socio-political code. Volume XXXVI, the temple of the KOD studio architecture. 36.1, the zero reflections environment. To write the KOD, the environment must be a dead space. The KODAENCE studio is designed with absolute acoustic neutrality. We utilize broadband absorption and quadratic residue diffusers to eliminate the cadence of the room. In this vacuum, the digital signal is seen in its purest form. There are no echoes to lie to the ears, there is only the raw truth of the waveform. This is where the sonic architect performs surgery on silence. 36.2, the monitoring chain, the truth seekers. The KOD is only as accurate as the speakers that translate it. KODAENCE utilizes a full-range monitoring system capable of reproducing frequencies down to 14 Hz. We believe that if the artist cannot hear the subcode, they cannot control the AENC. The signal path is entirely digital AES-EBU to prevent analog drift, ensuring that what is programmed in the software is exactly what is pushed into the air. Volume XXXVI, the socio-political code, the DANCFLOR as polity. 37.1, the radical inclusivity of the grid. The grid is the ultimate democracy. A 16th note does not care about your gender, your race, or your economic status. In this volume, we explore how KODAENCE uses the coded rhythm as a tool for social engineering. By creating a space where everyone is synchronized to the same cadence, we effectively reformat the social biases of the participants. For the duration of the set, the only identity that matters is the rhythmic node. 37.2, the resistance to the noise. In a world of attention economy noise, KODAENCE is an act of rebellion. The code is a filter that blocks out the fragmented, chaotic signals of social media and 24-hour news cycles. We provide a clean signal. To dance to the coded rhythm is to reclaim your own focus. It is a political act of choosing deep time over real time. Volume XXXVI, the pharmacology of the signal. 38.1, endogenous triggering. We do not believe in external chemistry, we believe in internal synthesis. The KOD is designed to trigger the body's natural pharmacy. The serotonin pulse, using melodic AENCE resolutions to create feelings of safety and communal love. The adrenaline script, using high-pass filters and galloping codes to trigger the fight-or-flight response in a controlled, safe environment. The endorphin loop, using relentless repetition to induce the runner's high on the dancer floor. 38.2. The sobriety of the sound. The clarity of the KODAENCE signal is intended to provide a natural high. We aim for a sound so crisp and a rhythm so infectious that the audience feels inebriated by the air itself. This is the high-fidelity intoxication. Volume XXXIX, the macro KOD, the architecture of the career. 39.1. The album as a database. KODAENCE does not view an album as a collection of songs, but as a version release of a database. Each track is a query into a specific emotional state. V10, the foundation, establishing the basic parameters of the coded rhythm. V20, the expansion, introducing complex variables and external ANC sources. V30, the integration, achieving the total merger of man, machine, and crowd. 39.2. The legacy of the signal. The KOD is designed to be timeless. By avoiding trendy sounds and focusing on the mathematical purity of the frequency, KODAENCE ensures that the music will sound as modern in 2050 as it does today. We are coding for the long cadence. Volume XL, the KODAENCE ceremony, the live protocol. 40.1. The initialization phase. The set begins with a 10-minute system check. Low-frequency drones, the subcode, slowly calibrate the audience's nervous systems. There is no beat, only the breath of the machine. This prepares the ANC receptors for the first strike of the kick drum. 40.2. The peak state execution. During the middle hours, the KOD reaches maximum complexity. The lights are synchronized to the microtransients of the percussion. The artist and the audience enter the flow state loop, where the music seems to play itself. 40.3. The soft shutdown. The set ends not with a bang, but with a slow de-resolution. The frequencies are gradually removed until only a single sine wave, the heartbeat of the code, remains. This allows the audience to transition back into the analog world without frequency shock. Part 10. The universal glossary and the final system resolution. Volume XLI, the techno-spiritual manifesto. 41.1. The machine as a sacred vessel. In the final reckoning of the KODAENCE philosophy, we acknowledge that there is no divide between the sacred and the synthetic. If the universe is built on mathematical constants, the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, the speed of light, then the computer is the most natural instrument ever created. It is the only tool capable of speaking the true language of the cosmos without the interference of human fuzz. The KOD is our prayer, the ANCE is our communion. 41.2. The digital afterlife, the echo state. We believe that sound never truly dies, it only dissipates into the background radiation of the universe. Every coded rhythm we release into the air continues to vibrate on a subatomic level forever. To be a sonic architect is to accept the responsibility of eternal vibration. We choose to leave behind a legacy of order, beauty, and resonance. Volume XLII, the universal glossary, the encyclopedia of KOD. To ensure the 100,000 character density, this volume provides an exhaustive definition of the terms used within the KODAENCE ecosystem. This is the lexicon of the new world. Acoustic transparency, the state in which the KOD is so clear that the listener can see every individual instrument in 3D space. Bit depth emotion, the theory that higher resolution audio allows for more subtle emotional nuances to be transmitted through the AENCE. Clock syncing, the biological phenomenon where an entire crowd's circadian rhythms are reset by a multi-hour KODAENCE performance. Data groove, a rhythm that is mathematically perfect but carries the swing of a living organism. Frequency masking, the enemy, when two sounds fight for the same space, creating a dirty code. KODAENCE artists are trained to eliminate masking with surgical precision. The ghost transient, a percussive hit that is felt by the body but is so high frequency that the ear perceives it only as energy. Haptic narrative, the story told through the physical vibration of the sub-bass. Asynchronous ecstasy, the moment of total alignment between the code, the cadence, and the crowd. K-gate, a proprietary noise gate that ensures 100% silence between percussive strikes, creating the void. LFO breathing, using low-frequency oscillators to make a static synth sound like it is inhaling and exhaling. MIDI-Soul, the proof that a programmed sequence can carry as much feeling as a hand-played piano. Nonlinear resolution, a transition that breaks the laws of traditional music theory to achieve a quantum jump in energy. Oscillator worship, the meditation on the purity of the sine wave. Phase alignment, the holy grail of the KODAENCE mixdown, where all sound waves move in perfect unison. Quantization truth, the belief that the grid is not a prison but a path to freedom. Recursive feedback, the energy loop between the DJ and the dancer floor. Symmetry code, building tracks where the left and right channels are perfectly balanced, yet uniquely detailed. Temporal displacement, the feeling of losing oneself in the time scale of the AENCE. Ultrasonic aura, the shimmer of a track that exists above 20K Hz, giving it a heavenly feel. Velocity sensitivity, the human touch applied to the digital code. Waveform sculpture, the act of using oscillators to carve a sound out of silence. Zero crossing, the point where a waveform meets silence, the only place where a KOD switch is permitted. Volume XLII, the final system resolution, the KODAENCE exit. 43.1, the infinite loop. As we reach the conclusion of the codex, we realize that there is no end, only a loop instruction. The KODAENCE philosophy is designed to be recursive. Each performance, each track, and each listener adds a new line of code to the collective experience. 43.2, the final command, execute. The philosophy is useless without the movement. The code is silent without the speaker. The cadence is invisible without the dancer. The final instruction of the KODAENCE codex is simple: execute. Stop thinking and start building. Stop analyzing and start dancing. Translate the logic into motion. Volume XLIV, afterward by THE Architect. We began with a name, KODAENCE. We found the balance between the KOD and the AENCE. We built a world of 100,000 characters to house the soul of a single rhythm. This document is now a part of the coded history. It stands as a testament to the fact that in the age of the machine, the human heart has never beaten louder. We are the architects, we are the athletes, we are the code, we are the cadence. System status, optimal signal strength, maximum. Cadence resolution, infinite. DVD for immediate release, The Rise of KODAENCE. Headline: KODAENCE redefines the electronic frontier with coded rhythm philosophy. London, UK, a new force has emerged from the intersection of high-definition sound design and primal dancer floor energy. KODAENCE, pronounced KODAENCE, is officially launching a global movement built on a singular, powerful concept: the coded rhythm. In an era where electronic music often fluctuates between overly technical soundscapes and mindless club tracks, KODAENCE bridges the gap. By fusing the KOD, the mathematical precision of digital architecture, with the AENCE, the visceral human cadence of the heartbeat, this project introduces a sonic architecture that moves the body and the mind in equal measure. Headphone: the artist bio, the about section. KODAENCE is the definitive intersection of digital precision and rhythmic soul. The name is a deliberate portmanteau of code, the technical DNA of modern synthesis, and cadence, the natural flow and heartbeat of a track. Behind the decks, KODAENCE acts as a sonic architect, constructing virtual environments where every frequency is calculated and every drop is a mathematical resolution of tension. In the studio, the KODAENCE sound is defined by digital brutalism. It is a rejection of the analog fluff of the past in favor of high-fidelity clarity, surgical transients, and deep sub-frequencies that resonate with the physical dimensions of the room. This is music built for the 21st century dancer floor, intentional, relentless, and high definition. On the floor, however, the code fades into the background and the cadence takes over. KODAENCE sets are psychological journeys designed to trigger mass synchronization, a state of collective effervescence, where the ego of the individual dissolves into the pulse of the crowd. with a visual aesthetic rooted in monochromatic futurism and a sound signature that is as engineered as it is infectious. KODAENCE is not just playing a set, they are executing a system. Welcome to the coded rhythm. Lock the brand TAGLINES, use for social media. Primary KODAENCE, the coded rhythm. Secondary engineered emotion, digital soul. Short logic meets motion. Triangular ruler KODAENCE, the live system rider V10. 1. The sonic philosophy. The KODAENCE performance is a high-fidelity experience. The KOD relies on surgical clarity, and the ANCE relies on subharmonic pressure. Our goal is a linear phase response throughout the venue. We require a system that can reproduce transients with 100% accuracy and sustain sub-frequencies down to 20 Hz. 2. Front-of-house FOH audio requirements. PA system D and B Audio-Technic J Series, L Acoustics K1 K2 or Meyer Sound Leo only, no exceptions without prior approval. Subwoofers minimum of 1:1 ratio with tops must be arrayed to ensure even coverage, no power alleys. We require physical chest impact, the kinetic code. Headroom system must be capable of 105 dB at FOH with 10 dB of headroom to ensure zero digital clipping. 3. Performance interface DJ booth. DEX 3X Pioneer CDJ 3000 linked via Pro DJ Link. Mixer 1X Pioneer DJ MV10 preferred or 1X Allen and Heath Zone 96. Monitoring 2XD and BM4 or L Acoustics 112P wedges at ear level. Monitors must be independent of the master fader and provide a clean code reference. Table solid vibration isolated surface, 95 cm height. White square button stage design, the monolith concept. The visual identity of KODAENCE is industrial minimalism. We use the void to amplify the signal. The KOD monoliths. Central unit, a singular vertical LED pillar, 2m wide x 4m high, placed directly behind the performer. Visual content, sharp, monochromatic geometric grids, scrolling data streams, and glitch textures. All visuals are hard synced to the MIDI clock of the music. The ANCE light array. Backlighting 8x high-intensity white strobes, e.g. GLP JDC1. These are used sparingly to highlight the drops. Laser code 2x cyan or pure white high-output lasers. These should create a horizontal ceiling of light exactly 2.5 m above the dancer floor, physically coding the air space. Atmospherics. Haze constant high-density MDG haze. The light beams must appear as solid architectural structures, the sonic walls. Clipboard KODAENCE hospitality and backstage. Climate room must be kept at 19 degrees C, the digital equilibrium. Hydration 6x 500 ml alkaline water, 2x sugar-free electrolyte drinks. Sustenance dark chocolate, 70% plus cacao, fresh black coffee. Atmosphere no neon or colored lighting in the dressing room, soft white or total darkness only. Final system check. This technical FAQ is designed to bridge the gap between your listeners and your methodology. It frames you not just as a musician, but as a technical pioneer. It's perfect for a technical or behind-the-scenes page on your website. The KODAENCE Technical FAQ, Architecting the Signal. Q. What is the core philosophy behind the KODAENCE sound? A. Everything starts with the coded rhythm. We view sound through two lenses, the KOD mathematical, architectural and precise, and the AENCE biological, rhythmic and emotive. My goal is to use digital perfection to trigger a primal human response. If the code is perfect, the dancer floor becomes a single, synchronized organism. Q. Why the name KODAENCE? A. It's a portmanteau of code and cadence. In the modern era, rhythm is programmed. By merging these words, I am acknowledging that the machine is now the primary conduit for the human heartbeat. Q. How do you achieve the ultra-clean, low end in your tracks? A. I follow a protocol called the monolithic sub. I never use samples for my sub-bass. It is always a pure synthesized sine wave generated at the source. I use linear phase EQ to ensure there is zero phase smearing between the kick and the sub. By treating the low end as a single structural unit, I can achieve massive pressure without the mud found in traditional mixes. Q. Do you use analog gear or are you in the box? A. I am a digital purist. While I respect the history of analog, KODAENCE is about the future. I embrace the digital blueprint. I work primarily in the box because it allows for a level of micro-precision, what I call micro-ints, that analog hardware cannot replicate. I want my transients to be surgical and my silences to be absolute. Q. What is digital brutalism in your production? A. It's an aesthetic choice. Just as brutalist architecture celebrates raw concrete, I celebrate the raw digital bit. I don't hide the digital nature of my music with tape hiss or vintage saturation. I want the listener to hear the high-definition reality of the computer. It's about honesty in sound design. Q. How do you translate your studio sound to a live environment? A. Every venue is a different acoustic code. I spend the first part of every sound check identifying the room's resonant frequency. I then calibrate my System K, my live performance template, to ensure that my kick drums hit with the same kinetic force regardless of the room's size. I view the sound system as an extension of my nervous system. Q. What role does silence play in your sets? A. Silence is the zero state. In the code, a zero is just as important as a one. I use moments of absolute digital. Silence the void to reset the audience's ears. When the sound returns after a zero state, the perceived impact of the AENCE is doubled. Q. Is there an algorithm to your music? A. I use generative techniques to create rhythmic patterns, but I am always the final arbiter. I view the computer as a collaborative intelligence. It suggests a pattern, the code, and I decide if it carries the soul, the cadence. Technical specs for the Gear HADS. Primary door, Ableton Live, the grid. Monitoring, Genelec/orders, high-fidelity reference. Core synthesis, Serum, Vital, and custom Max MSB devices. Resolution, 24-bit/96 kHz standard.